So we've darkened these lines so that you can see them a little bit better. But what we've done is we've taken these lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and dropped them down to this radius of the side view. Where these contact this radius, as we bring these lines down, we make points. As it contacts this radius, it gives us a point to transfer over to these vertical lines in the front view. So all these lines come down in the front view, and these lines come down in the side view, and where they contact the arc, we move them over to by the number. Number 5 touches right here, it goes over to number 5. Come down here, here's a point for 5. Okay, so that transfers over to this 5, and this line goes all the way down to here, but I'm going to transfer this over, and it makes that mark right there. So what happens is we match these numbers up with these numbers. So we have 1, which we said was the end one here. We rotate it down, becomes the middle one. And it's 0. And then this one drops down X amount, this drops down X amount, X amount, X amount. So now we have a point where each one of these numbers gets contacted by each one of these lines that transfers over from the arc to the vertical lines. So now what we have to do, we now have a dimension from the top of the main pipe down to the center line. So from the top down, we have new dimensions. And we need to set up a graph over here that's going to represent where these lines go in both halves of the pipe. This only shows one half. So we're going to transfer everything over to this, and we're going to lay out both halves, and that's where we're going to get that double slope like that, where when we wrap it around the pipe, it's going to make a saddle. We got to have both halves. We've just represented one half. So now we have to break it down to the total length, which is 13.35 inches. So I laid this out to 13 1/3 inches, and there it is. So I got a little bit different, but the saddle's going to work. I'm going to show you. So now I just take this and set it to that, and I make sure that it matches. Okay, so I got this set for each one of these sections. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and I make a mark on each one of these, and I get a line going all the way down to the end. Now what that's going to represent is these 8 and then the other 8 sections for the whole. This is only half the pipe, then the other half would be another repeat of this, would give us a total of 16 pieces. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces on this half, and there's going to be 8 on the other half, because this represents one half, this is going to represent the entire thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drop all these lines past this center line, and that's where we're going to transfer these all the way over to there and match the numbers. So we're going to break this up, number all the lines, and then transfer the appropriate line over to that. Alright, so I'm going to lay this out, I'm going to drop all these lines, and then we'll come back. So what we have is we've laid out the overall length, which was 13.3518 in length. We divided into 16 parts, which are these 8, and then the other half of the pipe, the other 8. So they represent each one of these wedges. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. We have all 16 there. All right, so we took these lines and dropped them down vertically on both of these. These vertical lines hit this radius at different points. Those points are what we transferred over to these vertical lines, and it gives us the depth of cut for your saddle part. Okay, so the way these come down and go back up represent this on this pipe. I haven't cut this so we could actually see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer these over to this layout, or sketch out it's called, and we're going to do this according to these numbers. So we need to number these lines according to these. Okay, so starting with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're at 5, we'll go to 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to repeat that. So this one here ends up being a 1, a 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then it goes 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it goes 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're at 5. It goes to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to move these over to here by each one of the numbers. And the numbers repeat on here twice. So I'll have 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, and then the 5 is the middle. Okay, so we have 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4 middle. Now watch. We have 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, and a 5 for the middle. So now we have 2 halves. This represents one half of the pipe. This represents both halves. Okay? So if we move number 1 dimension, which is 0, it doesn't come off that top of that pipe. It's 0. If we move number 1 dimension over here, we can put a dot right at that intersection, because that's where it has to end up. Okay? Now we have to do that for every one of the 1s. And in this case, we have 3 1s because we have 1 in the middle. Okay? So that's all 3 of the 1s. Now we're going to try to move number 2 over. And number 2 meets this right here just below the surface of this. Header. Just below the surface of the header. So if we take a straight edge and we run it all the way just below that mark, we know that number 2s are going to hit at a certain spot. So I'll mark these number 2s wherever it hits. Alright. So now I have the number 2s. Okay, now I have to move number 3 over. So I take number 3, I look at number 3, and it comes down here. And that's where it hits this radius, right there. I transferred it over here to get how far it is and how far in. Okay, so I'm going to transfer that over to here. I'll make a small mark on all the number 3s. 3, 3, 3, and 3. Alright, so we're going to put a dot there. just so we keep in touch where everything is. And you can see how it's graduating downward. Okay? It's gradually coming down. So now I have to do number 4 and then 5. Okay? So if I find number 4 over here, and I see where it ties in down here, and down here, and right here. So I line those up again, because I use the same center line, right? So it should be able to transfer straight on across if I line up all 3 of those to all of the number 4s. So here's a 4, here's a 4, here's a 4, and here's a 4. So there's all the number 4s. So I put a dot there. Something visible. Alright, so you can kind of see how it's rolling off and coming down, right? Now this number 5 ends up, here's our center line. And you would think that when we bring 5 down, it would go all the way to here. It does not. It should end up twice the wall thickness of the pipe. So in this case, we have 1/8 inch wall thickness. It should be about 1/4 of an inch above the center line. If I take a ruler and look at that, that's exactly what it ended up, about 1/4 of an inch up. So we're good there. Now, if I take the straight edge and I run right across this, matter of fact, I'm going to do it underneath because I can see it better. I'll line that up. Now I got to mark the number 5s. Let me continue to use this because it's longer. Alright, so now I mark number 5s. Here's a 5. Here's a 5. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you only have 2 5s. So we're going to put a dot there. Now what you can do, there's a lot of different ways of doing this. I'm lazy, so I try to do it the easy way, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I use a thing called executive pocket gauge, and you can see, so I can adjust this to each one and then check it. So it's just an easy way of doing it. I can come here over to number 2. I know number 1 is a 0, so I set this to number 2 right there, and then I just come over here and check these, and I got it pretty darn close. I'm never going to get it. I'm not going to get it perfect. Maybe you will. Keep on trying. Make it perfect. All right. So I just checked these with my pocket chum. Okay. And I'm going to check the next one. Let's just do number 5. It's the biggest one. Let's see how bad we got that one. So I run this up. And need it open a little more. Oh, that looks good. So we checked the number 5s from the center line. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I need to come down with that one a little bit. I got that one just a little bit high, so that's okay. Alright, so that's us. Alright, so now what we have to do, we have to lay this out. We have it laid out. We have to draw it out now. This is called the sketch out. And now we have both halves. Here's one half of the pipe. Here's the other half of the pipe. So what that represents is where we started at one point, we come down and we go back up to that same point. It's 0. Number 1 is 0. It lands right on the top edge of the header. This is the header. Alright, so what this represents is if it was at 0, and if we just roll this around, you can see once I get all the way around, 1 and 0, or 0 in distance, ends up the same. Same place, okay? So we're going to cut this out and use that as the wrap. Now what I do is I always come up here an inch or so and draw a line, and that's where I cut it from, because I like a little meat on my piece. Here's the one for the 6-inch. My numbers. Let's get it up here where you can see it. Alright, so what I did is I numbered them all down here, and then I put my dots in over here. So this left me this much right here to make meat, so it doesn't fall apart, doesn't rip apart, leaves me plenty of room. Okay, so on a little 4-inch, I'm going to leave about an inch, inch and a half. So where I put these numbers at to transfer everything over to, I'm going to come above those a little bit and draw a straight line, and that's where I'm going to cut it off at. Now, where these number 1s are, when I wrap it around this pipe, they're going to come together at that point. That's why I haven't cut this out yet. They're going to come together at that point. So I want a little bit of extra on my template. As you can see here, I have a little bit extra on there so that it can overlap and make it more stable and easier to line up. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to go above it. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go above it, whatever this is. I think it's an inch and a half or something. So I'm just going to put a mark there because that's where I'm going to cut it at. Okay? And I have a pencil right here. Okay. This is going to be close enough. It doesn't have, this part here is not rocket science. None of it's rocket science. As a matter of fact. Okay, so we took this to get the dimensions on this arc. So that's everywhere it's going to come off of the branch pipe and hit the header. Okay? Now we transfer them over here so that we know as this arc goes out, we need to know how it graduates back up the pipe. So you can see here, it gets closer and closer to the 0. Alright, so that's what this does. We transferred this over to this side by these numbers. So this is represented twice. Number 1 is on this header right here is 0 in dimension. Okay, then it comes down a little bit. Number 2 comes down a little bit. Comes down a little bit. Number 3 comes down a little bit more. Okay, so this comes down a little bit more. All right, so we repeat that all the way for each number. We make sure we match up the numbers. Don't goof that part up. All right, now to cut this out, I'm going to use this because I don't want extra marks on my piece. So what we want to do is we want to have this a kind of a flowing radius going up like this. Okay, this right here we want a flowing radius. So we need something that's going to be able to give me that mark. And the way I do it is I take something kind of flimsy and I'm going to put it on there and I'm going to hold it at these marks. So I'm going to pick a middle mark here, a middle mark here, and I'm going to bend this to fit that, and then I'm going to mark it just to that middle mark. Alright, so now it made a nice smooth radius there. Okay, and I didn't make this dark so it's not real bright for you, it's not real obvious. You can do this by hand, especially something this small. If you're doing a 12-inch, you don't want to kind of guess, you know, just kind of get some material and make your arch even. Okay, so that way if you have to take off a little bit over here, 30-second or so, you know, take it over there. Make everything even. As long as you do everything the same, it's all going to come out the same. So that's how we go to 0. Just like that. All right, now, when we come down into this point right here, which is going to represent where it goes down on the side of the pipe, that doesn't come to a sharp point. So what I normally do is I take a couple times the radius or the thickness, and I just kind of round that. Okay, so if I'm going to take this flexible item again, I'm going to come from this one and I'm going to go through to that one. We're going to see what kind of radius we get. So I'm going to be about, kind of line them all up like that. Okay, so I do that from there to there. Okay, so that's that. I didn't get the line on the underside. That's okay. So there we go. We got a little radius here at number 5. I got a little radius there. And I run on up it gradually. And now I'm going to come off of 1 and go to this middle one. Okay? And that's how I'm going to get the radius on that one. Okay, so I've got the radius here, and it gets down into here, and I radius up. So this radius and this radius have to be the same. I don't want too many lines on everything. Kind of goose everything up. Keep it clean. Alright, so now I'm going to do this side, and then I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to cut out the template. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this off this paper, then I'll cut it out. Okay. Okay, so we made our layout or our sketch out, and we cut it out. And I got a piece of painter's tape up there holding it up so it won't rip up the paper when I pull it back down and show you. But this is what you use to tape it on your piece on your pipe to mark it. But we cut this out, and then we cut it out according to them lines. But I put it back up here to show you a specific thing, and that is when you do this, you're going to find your own dimensions. Okay, so if you run into a situation where you don't know the dimensions, you don't have a book available, and you need them right away, you can lay this out real quick, get your numbers, write them down, put them in your toolbox, you'll have them. So this happens to be for a 4-on-4. We've already done a 6-on-6. We can do more, we can do whatever, it doesn't matter. But what if you only have the dimensions and you don't know how to lay it out on the pipe? We're going to show you how to do that without going through graphing it out. It's not that difficult, a little bit simpler than this, but this is when you don't know anything and you need to figure it out and have a template as the end result. Bang, we've done it right here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pull this down, we're going to show you that it works. I've cut out the piece from my marks that were on there earlier, and we're going to take this down and show you that it works. So before I do that, I told you about my executive pocket gauge, or pocket chum. Executive pocket chum. That's what they call it if you want to look it up and buy one. They're cheap, but they're nice to have. It's not bad. So you have inside dimensions, outside dimensions on it. It's a pretty neat little tool. Alright, so what I did is I graphed all this out, right? And I brought down all these lines, and I brought down these lines to the arch, brought them over, tied them all together. But these are all done by position, okay? 1 through 5, 5 through 1. Remember? And we brought them over here, 1 through 5, 5 through 1, for each half. So what that ended up doing is giving us the numbers that you'll get out of a book. And you can verify them by looking them up. But number 1 position right here is 0. It ties right into the header, top of the header. Number 2, if I use my little pocket chum, I'm going to zero in on this, and it's just over an eighth. It's an eighth. So we'll go over here. That's number 2. Okay. So we'll go over here where 2 comes off the top of the header down to the arc. Look at that. It's an eighth, a little over an eighth. So we go to 3. We adjust our pocket chum to measure that one up to the top of the header. And number 3 is right at a ½ inch. So if I look at this, lay it on here, it's right. And if I do number 4, that's way down here. You saw us check number 5 before. We'll do it again. Number 5 is right. I gotta bring it down a little bit. Well, actually, it's just under an inch. So we'll check number 4, yeah, 4, and it's right according to this dimension. And number 5, just over 1.25 inches. So if I check number 5, oops, I'm going to the wrong line here. 5, it's right. So all the dimensions we got are the dimensions they give you in the book. So we'll go over how to use those dimensions without doing a whole graph. This is what we ended up with our template. I've already cut it out. And we're going to pull the template down and we're going to check it. So nothing rips apart. I've used regular old painter's tape. I set it right here because I'll use it again. Okay, and I also said I was going to leave a little bit of paper on there to strengthen my cutout, and I did. Right above the numbers, you can see I left from the heavy black line here to the top of the paper. I left enough paper there to help me line it up and keep it firm. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to lay this on here, overlap it. Now another thing I did, I talked about it earlier, but we're going to say it again, is on the ends of this paper, what we did is we tapered them down. You can see that taper down right there. This is all extra paper right here. From one this way is all extra paper. But that's so when I overlap them, this one's tapered also. That's so when I overlap them, they're not in the way. They're not in the way from making my template. They're not sticking up into where I need to draw my lines. Okay, so I had a reference line on these, and I'm going to show you what that's for here in a minute. This is going to be for laying out the numbers without a template. So that should line up to 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up 1 right there. I'm going to use a piece of this painter's tape. There, now I've got it. It's not going to go anywhere. I've got a piece of painter's tape on it right there. And now I'm going to pull this around, and it should line up with 1 again. And it does. Just like magic. Okay, so not only that, but we need to see that it lines up with the actual. There's oops, I keep moving it because I didn't tape it down. Okay, so there it is. That's the template and the cutout. Okay, so that's how it works. Here's one I had done before. This one's all in orange. That's okay, we don't care what color it is. And if we wrap this on there, you can see that one fits. Okay, so it's just a process of finding the information you need to lay this out, save it, make your template, save it, so you'll have the dimensions and the template if it comes up again. Okay, I hope all this made sense to you. I hope you get to use it. I tried to make it as simple as I could. As a matter of fact, what we're doing right here is laying out the fish mouth. So we're getting ready to do that. That'll be a separate video. But I hope you got this. I hope you understood it and how it goes back to these numbers. And good luck with it. Do one for a 6-inch. See if you can come up with your own numbers, and then check the numbers out of a book or whatever, or email me. I'll give you the numbers. But lay your own out, get it all figured out, cut the template out, and wrap it around something, PVC pipe or something, and see how it works.